Meanwhile, Iran has launched a new wave of missiles towards Israel. Air raid sirens have been sounding across several cities. Israeli media is reporting at least one of the missiles made impact south of Jerusalem. Explosions have been heard again throughout Israel, and people were instructed to take shelter until further notice. Let's bring in Noor O'Day in Amman, Jordan, keeping an eye on the situation in Israel for us. Is the alert over now, Noor? What's the latest?
The alerts are over. The initial reports talk about between 10 and 15 Iranian missiles launched in successive order, 5 separate impact sites fully, and this is quite remarkable. We're talking about far fewer missiles, but a larger number of them making impact. One of them making impact near the power plant in Ashdod, a central city, an important city in the south. A strategic port in the south, and in that vicinity there are several military installations as well. We've already heard from authorities saying that there might be disruptions in electricity supplied to various communities in the south because of the damage sustained to that plant. We also saw reports of impact in the Tel Aviv area, but also in Ashkelon and in Safed, all the way in the north. We don't know the nature of those locations, what were the targets, what's in the vicinity, but this was the longest time sirens had gone off in Israel, about 40 minutes non-stop.
And significantly also, Noor, impact in Jerusalem, which had not happened during this conflict.
Yes, there was a report of impact south of Jerusalem. This is the first time something like that is reported during this confrontation with Iran. We're not sure what the nature of that location is, but remember, there are military bases and installations across the occupied West Bank and around Jerusalem. So it's really difficult to ascertain unless the military sensor clears the area for a publication or the impact site for publication. Sometimes it's difficult if there are no eyewitnesses to record the events. But certainly, like we said, 10 to 15 missiles reported by Israeli media to have been spotted, 5 separate impact sites. We're still waiting to see a statement by the Israeli army. The Israeli police is just talking about impacts in various sites, not being specific even about the locations that the general public knows about.
And despite this lack of clarity from the Israeli military about the type of damage that's being sustained as a result of these Iranian missiles, we are clearly seeing this is having an effect in Israel and raising questions about Israel's claim, first of all, that it has air superiority, but also about the effectiveness of the air defense systems.
That is correct, and there are a lot of questions, including, for example, an investigation that was launched into an impact in Haifa yesterday in a sensitive area. Initially, there was speculation that this might have been an interceptor missile that misfired before the sirens went off. But right now, we know from reports that, in fact, it was an Iranian missile that made direct impact even before the sirens went off. So there are problems sometimes in detection and certainly in interception. Israel has a very sophisticated aerial defense system. It's multi-layered and it's sometimes assisted by the U.S. Army, but nothing is 100% sure. And let's remember, Israel is used to rockets that are far smaller, that make far more limited impact from armed groups like Hamas and other Palestinian groups in Gaza and like Hezbollah in Lebanon. It is not used to the kind of barrages that we're seeing from Iran. This is an army of a very large country still able to send missiles despite Israel's continuous bombardment of various locations in Iran, which is a vast country.
Briefly, Noor, how much disruption is this causing in Israel to daily life in Israel?
Well, just for the sake of clarity, it's important perhaps to remind our viewers that there's no comparison between the damage caused by Israeli bombardment in Iran and that in Israel. But in Israel, what we're seeing is unprecedented. More than 30,000 Israelis have filed for compensation. The war itself and the damage is costing a lot of money to the Israeli economy. $200 million reportedly for, okay, I hear sirens again in Amman. Sirens again in Amman. That means that warnings have been issued in Israel, and perhaps sirens are imminent. I'm just looking at my phone to see where exactly those sirens might be going off in Israel, and it seems it would be in the north of Israel. Yeah, in northern Israel so far.
And this is less than 15 minutes before the alert was
used to this kind of damage.
Sorry, Noor, this new alert coming less than 15 minutes before the all clear was given.
That's right. I mean, yesterday we saw the alarms and the sirens going off in successive orders. We hadn't seen that before. Today, this is even, closer. This is very different. Sirens going off for 35 to 40 minutes, the all clear given, and now sirens again going off, and the area covered for now, as I see on my phone here, is in northern Israel, in the vicinity of Akka, and north of the Tiberias Lake. So people will be heading back to the shelters. That kind of psychological impact, the economic disruption, the fact that services are only limited to essential services, all of that disruption is unprecedented in Israel, because ultimately, Israelis are used to being the ones in military command. Their army can exact a lot of punishment and a lot of destruction on others, but they're not used to seeing entire neighborhoods damaged and impacted, and buildings leveled to the ground because of somebody else's bombing in their street. Again, the sirens, the warnings in northern Israel, large portions, many localities in northern Israel.
So, no, we will come back to you in just a few minutes when we find out more about this new alert that's just been raised in Israel. Noor telling us that sirens have gone off for northern Israel. We'll come back to you in just a second.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Aljazeera.